Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of the Iron Meditation, the Art of Living and Lifting podcast. I'm your host, Coach Michael. I have a food disorders. I have a low back pain. I have a messed up father, so how can I be a normal person? I am ugly. Nobody will want me. I'm no good for business. And more and more and more. Now, I know that it sounds like another coaching book, but bear with me for a second. The labeling is the worst disease we can have, and we are very, very prone to make ones because they are, to some extent, they're cognitive shortcuts to explain to ourselves why we are the way we are and to numb ourselves from making any other action, because label is almost like a medical condition. Here are my own labels that I grew up with. First of them being that I am sick, as if not healthy, and I cannot do and live like other boys live, because I almost died at the age of 2 weeks, and my mom get it really hard and invested very much in bringing me and keeping me alive, so she just installed it. Second one was I have a bad back, which I have to some extent. And the third one, that you are just like your father. Now, my father, quote unquote at least, a sperm donor, I refer to him, left when I was 3. I don't know him, I never grew up with him, I do bear some of his traits probably, but again, this is something that I'm messed up like he is, and it's growing with it wasn't easy because I wanted other things for myself. And I remember very vividly when I was sitting in the office of a physiotherapist. It was like maybe 20 years ago when I took my senior coach's class, and rehabilitation was of the subject, and the person who taught us was amazing. He's an amazing physio who also coached a handball team here in Israel. Great man, and I learned a lot. So I went to professional consultation to him, and I began to explain my story and blah blah, and then I caught his gaze and I stopped talking, because in his eyes I read, Misha, I love you, I respect you, please get out of my office and stop wasting my time. There are people with real back problems sitting and waiting. But he was polite enough to say, just listen, drop that shit, go and learn to live with brain and not only with muscles, aka have a program, have a coaching, okay, learn proper technique and you'll be fine. And he was absolutely right. As far as my father heritage, it is present. However, I do have 3 great kids and I do have a family. No, it's not a fairy tale. No, it's not a whatever Hollywood scenario may imagine. It's life, it's get dirty, but still I have, and I am happy to extend by far greater than being alone and buying into this shit. And health-wise, eventually, you do many things for love, and I've met a girl, and again, we're talking about 30 years ago, maybe more, and she was great, and we've traveled. So eventually I took myself into my hands, and ice bath later, and cold showers, and training and running. Eventually my health never been better. Now, why do I tell you the story? Again, I always share my stories because I'm a human, okay? And first of all, I have firsthand everything I talk about, and I work day in and day out to unwind and to progress and to share the tools that work for me with you. Now, labeling wise, let's put aside the limiting beliefs, because it is true, but they are less dangerous. What's dangerous is when we buy into the labels we tell ourselves. We give ourselves permission to let go and to behave according to these labels, and by doing so, digging a grave way deeper that may take a lifetime to get out of. And another story that comes to mind, I sat with my nutritionist, who's a former pro athlete. I believe she was in the Olympic team in her teens, a great professional who works with a variety of athletes. And I was really fortunate enough to say out loud the words eating disorders. And she gave me that look that I was sure she's going to slap me. But she was really serious. And she told me, like, listen, don't you dare ever to use this term upon yourself, because you are not. You are confused, yes. Yes, you have over information, of course, because you read, you're smart coach, that you're getting interest, but by all means, you are not a clinician to make such claims upon yourself. So pretty please, sugarcoating, shut the fuck up. Here's a diet, all right? Like, here's a nutrition plan, sorry, not a diet. Go and have the discipline to follow it, and everything will be fine. And it was exactly as she told. Back to labeling yet again. When we have bad backs, it's really easy to let go of everything because, hey, I already have a bad back, so why bother? When I'm having an eating disorder, then eating this cake, this fat, this whatever, what does it change anyway? I'm already, a flawed, second-hand, Z-rated human being. I'm having these disorders and I need professional help, so I as might well eat it. If I'm coming from this functional family, what will it matter? I go and I betray. I'm not going to, I'm going to say offensive thing because, well, I'm from, dysfunctional family. What do you want from me? I am this, very, very poor and ill person, and you need to understand me. Well, no, nobody needs to. And this is what labeling does. Now, it is important to say that conditions do exist. Not everything in our hands. Mainly, but not everything. However, it is only, like my nutritionist told me, upon a certified clinician to tell you that you have this condition and to suggest a treatment. As for ourselves, we just need to reframe the labeling, saying, I don't have enough information, or I'm lacking some knowledge. And the best advice I can give you, and this is the advice I follow myself, when I need this type of answers, I go and hire somebody who I trust, regardless what the rate is, obviously, if I can pay it. Because when this person says that I am fine, then I am fine. And it allows me, like somebody else more proficient than I am, somebody who has the authority to tell me that I don't have this condition, tells me, I'm free to release this label and go and again recreate and create the life I really want, leaving everything behind, and to professionals to decide what do I have, or just to live my life happily without even looking